Hi, I'm Mark. Welcome back to Foothill Paint Fabrication. Well, as you guys saw in the title and the thumbnail, we're going to be fixing a little bit of a factory mistake here. If you guys recall, when we hung the passenger side door, it was fairly tight up here. I even did a little body work on the car itself to try to give it a little more room. Well, even on that video, I tried to talk myself out of, cutting this and lowering it down. Then I hung the driver's door, and the driver's door looks so good that this gap is so even and nice. I can't let this go. So that's what we're doing today. I even started hanging the fenders and started working on that a little bit, but this kept haunting me and it calling me back. So that's what we're doing today. So let's just go ahead and jump in close. We'll take a look at what it's going to take to get this thing dropped back down where it belongs. It's about 3/32 of an inch too tall as far as I can tell. So yeah, let's just jump in here. We'll take a look at it and get after it, get this thing fixed. All right, let's take a look at this thing. So if you guys recall, it's super tight right up in here. I mean, really way too tight. And if we compare it to the driver's side, right here, you can tell that gap is so much different. So this door right here, it's got decent gap right here, but it's tighter here than it is down here. It's actually bigger here than it is down here. So what will happen is if we cut this loose inside the door and we lower this down, what that's going to do, it's going to bring that rearward a little bit more, and it'll tighten that gap up, open this gap up, and then it'll actually open this one up a little bit to match that. So we'll be a lot more even overall. And this was just, the production in the 60s, the fit and finish. I mean, the door went on, it latched, they send it, that was it. But we can't live with that. So let's go ahead and open the door and we'll take a look at what we need to do to try to get that thing loose. So I took some chalk and I marked all the spot welds I could find looking inside and out. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I hope. And then right inside here, if you guys can see that, there's some brazing right there. So we got to cut that brazing loose. We got to get these spot welds cut loose. And I was planning on, doing these door jambs just like the outside of the car. So all this little seam and all that stuff, that would have been all, prettied up real nice. So the fact that we have to cut these spot welds loose and, it's not going to be pretty. We're going to probably plug weld those back in and grind it smooth. So I don't think it's the end of the world. I'm hoping we can get this loose without too much trouble and just get it to drop down. But that'll be yet to be seen. Before we start cutting spot welds, I went ahead and figured out a spacer for up here and down there. This one stops the door at the perfect depth, and then this one up here matches where this is stopping right now, because we're good this way. We just need to get it right up and down. So I want to be able to close the door and then push that up against it, and then so we know that it's this way correct when we're all done. Now, these spot welds are smaller than most body like spot welds. They obviously used a smaller spot welder. And my spot weld cutter, it's a pretty good, it wobbles around a little bit and it makes a bigger hole. So I did some experimenting with the burr tool on a piece of sheet metal, but by the time I was done, I think it was just about as big as this. So I might use the spot weld cutter and the burr tool kind of in combination, but I'd like to keep this mutilating this down to the minimum, so it makes it easier to repair and doesn't weaken anything. So let me get the drill out and we'll see if we can get some of these spot welds cut. Some of these are actually sticking up right here, bumped out on this side, and it kind of makes me want to try to use the burr tool, but I think I'm going to stick with what I know and use the spot weld cutter. Let's go ahead and get a center spot drilled on all these, and then we can get the cutter out. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm sure there's ones that I'm missing, but we'll get these first and then we'll see if it jiggles around a little bit after we cut that brazing. And then we'll just hunt down the other ones. I'm sure there's one in here somewhere I'm not seeing. But let me get the spot weld cutter and get these cut. Through there. All right, I'm going to take a close-up look and see if I can see a crack in these, and then I'm going to just kind of keep hitting it little by little. I don't want to cut through this part right here. I want to make sure that we only cut this sheet metal here, because I can't take this out and repair it. Well, I could, but I don't want to pull the whole thing out. We just want to get this loose and lower it down a little bit. So I'm going to take my time and be very careful. So give me a few minutes to get these cut and see if we can get that loose, at least from this piece. Then we're going to move over and cut that brazing. Okay, so that's what you're looking for right there when you're doing the spot weld cutting. And I actually have a magnifying glass out to check really close to see if I can see the crack all the way through. So that one's coming out pretty good. This one, I thought I was doing good, but I actually cut too deep because the sheet metal was pinched so tightly together I couldn't tell where one ended and the other one started. But you know, that's the way it goes. So I'm going to finish cutting all these and I'll bring you back when they're about ready to pop loose. All right, I got those pretty good. I even took the burr tool, the little tiny burr tool, and I flattened out that button that was sticking out because we need to slide this down inside that hole. Only about 3/30 seconds or so, but if we didn't take that button off, then it would just push this piece towards the inside of the door, and that wouldn't be any good. Over here you can see a hole. That's where this piece runs out, and so there's a hole there. We'll fill it later, no big deal. We'll take care of it. Now we need to move over to the brazing, so let's switch sides and take a look at that. Okay, so this is the only braid spot on this piece right here that I can find, so we're going to have to find a way to cut that brazing right in between it. I don't want to try to melt it out of there. Hopefully what I'd like to do is cut through that brazing, and then once we slide this down, just take the TIG torch, warm that blade, heat that brazing back up, let it meld back together, and we're done. So that'd be ideal. So I can't get the Dremel in there, I don't think. I have a little reciprocating saw with a tiny blade on it. Let me see if I can fit that down in there. Okay, let's see what we can do here. That's not working too good. Well, it's working, but not very good. Let me see if I got a new blade. I'll bring you back when I got it cut. I may just have to use a hacksaw blade in my hand. Why didn't somebody remind me of this handy dandy little hacksaw thingy I made? I think this is going to work way better. All right, I think I just about got it. I even had to break out my son's metal shop project, little mini hacksaw he built. Got an A+, so it's got to work, right? So I'm going to finish this off and I'll bring you right back. Okay, I got it cut as far as I could without damaging the steel around it, and then I just took a small screwdriver and tapped it in there like a little chisel and broke that brazing, so we're good to go up there. They did a super nice job on brazing that. It went really deep inside that seam. So now you guys can see I've got a putty knife up inside here, and what we need to do is break those spot welds we drilled out on the other side. So I'm just going to take a hammer and try to tap that up through there and see if we can break all those loose. Okay, we got everything broke loose except one. You can see that putty knife worked really good going up through here. Then I just came at an angle, busted that one. We're losing that tab right there, but no big deal. It's going to be nice and smooth across here anyways. These are done, but if you notice, this piece of sheet metal right here moves with this and it won't go up and down. There's a little tiny spot weld right there, so I'm just going to take a small screwdriver. Instead of trying to drill it out, we're going to just try to break it loose first, and if it won't come loose, then we'll drill it out. Well, it feels pretty solid. Yeah, I don't know, I think we're going to have to drill it out. Yeah. All right, let me move the camera out of the way. I'll figure out how big that is, and then we'll maybe just use a small drill bit, weaken it, and then drive the screwdriver in there. Give me a minute to take care of this one, and then we can start cleaning this up and figuring out how low we can lower it. Come on. Woo. Yeah, there we go. All right, we got plenty of adjustment now. I'm gonna double check. I've been hammering and pushing on this door pretty good, so I wanna close it, make sure it's still right where it's supposed to be, adjust it if needed, and then we're gonna start figuring out where we wanna set this thing, clean all this up, and maybe get a tack on it. I might be able to reach the spot welder through here and get this spot welded, which would be nice, and then we'll plug weld the rest. So yeah, let me check all this out, and we'll start seeing how this fits up top. All right, let's see where we're at. Now this is right where it was when we started, okay? I got it jammed up in there, so let's see if we can, oh, there we go. Okay, so we got a lot of adjustment here, and with these blocks here, I don't have to worry about depth. I can actually push up against that and slide it up and down. But you can see now we're gonna be able to get this gap even. This one over here, we're gonna get that one a lot more even. And this one here, will also, because it drops that way as it falls, right? So we're going to be able to get that one a lot more parallel. So let me, I'm going to take a couple of measurements off the other side because I like the way it looks. I want them to match. And then we'll figure out maybe some sort of mark or a block in here so I can figure out how to clamp this. So when I open the door, it'll stay right where I want it. So give me a minute to take care of that, and we'll be right back. All right, check the other side, and I checked this side, and I decided 2 stir sticks is just about right. So I've got that pushed up to the stir sticks, and I clamped it. It's clamped up against the block, so we've got our depth correct. So it fits in here just about right. There's a little resistance. It's a little tighter here in the center, barely, but down here it's exactly like the other end. And right here, it goes in a little bit right there. It's a little bit tighter right here, but not bad. I mean, just a tiny bit. I could push it in there if I wanted to. So we're looking really good. I'm really happy about this, guys. I can't believe how this is coming together. And I dreaded it, you know, I dreaded doing it, and turns out it's not that big a deal. Now, I've never done one like this. I bent these frames when they were, you know, kind of pushed out or not straight. And I bent those and got them straight on other sedans, but I've never cut one loose and redid this like this. So this is the first time for me, and it really, it seemed like a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's just that much more spot welds to cut and stuff to align, right? So we're looking really good. I'm really happy with all this. I think it looks so much better, and it matches the other side, and the moldings and everything are going to line up that much better. So I'm going to figure out how to get a clamp, because we need to clamp this so it doesn't move when I, you know, pull it away, because I could probably maybe get the TIG torch in there and try to get that brazing, but I don't know if it's pulled up against here the way I want it. So give me a minute to try to get some clamps on this so when I open the door it doesn't move at all, and then we can start figuring out about getting some plug welding done. All right, I got a vice grip over here, and that's holding it pretty good, but the problem is, I don't know if you guys can see, but that's moving. So when I pull it away, it falls over. So what I did was I was trying to figure out how am I going to clamp that. And we remember if we had a hole right here, and when I did that spot weld, so I put a screw in there and a washer on the other side. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp the door shut again and tighten that screw up, and that'll be 2 points of clamping, one to hold it over here, the other one to hold it this way, and I think that should work. Because all we have to do is open the door gently, as long as it doesn't move, and then get a couple of tacks on here to hold that, and just small tacks, and then we're going to double check everything, and then we can get ready to do some final welding. All right, we're in a very good position right now. The screw is holding it very well, super tight, and it didn't move at all when I opened the door. I opened it very carefully a couple of times and it had no movement. So the vice grip's holding it up here, the screw's holding it there, so we're looking really good. You guys can tell right here how much we lowered. Look at that, look how much this was off. So I mean, that's pushing 3/16 of an inch. I mean, it was way more than I thought it was gonna be to get this thing right. But you know, you gotta do what you gotta do, and it just shows how far off it was at the factory. And sometimes this is just what we gotta do. And this was gonna be a sooner or later kind of thing. It would have bugged me and I would have done it later, so I'm glad I'm doing it sooner. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the MIG welder out. We'll get a little tack on here, maybe right here or here, just to kind of hold it. And then we'll take all the screw and the clamp off, make sure it doesn't move, and then we can get some welds on here and then start hammering some of this around to make it pretty, and then get some final welds on the whole thing. Okay, that should hold it. Let me get all this off and we'll test it. Then we'll come back, do a little hammering, and get these things welded up. All right, let's close it and see if it hits that at the same time it hits the other one. All right, perfect. Just what we wanted. So we're looking really good. It doesn't look like anything moved. The gaps look really nice. I will be checking this distance here to make sure that I didn't put some sort of twist in it. I got to check down inside here. I can't hardly get the camera in there, but there's a line I can check to make sure that still runs parallel, and running my finger in there, it feels good, but I'll compare it to the other side and see how it looks and everything. But we'll make sure of that, because I could have put a twist in it or something when I was, broke it loose, but I don't think so. But I'm going to do some final double checks, and then we're going to start working on this, the inside right here, get that cleaned up, and get some welding done and get our ground smooth. We'll be just about done. Okay, everything's checking out really nice, so we're ready to weld. I went ahead and put a piece of copper back there. We had that big old hole, so that'll allow me to kind of plug weld that little edge right there and then get that hole filled in real nice. We'll do these. I'll move the copper down for that hole where we had this screw holding everything together. But we're looking really good. So I'm gonna get these welded up and ground smooth. Some of this will take some burr work, burr tool, but the TIG brazing and some of this other cleanup work I think we'll do later once we get the door off the car and on a rack, because we still have to pretty these things up real nice anyway, so I think I'll do all that. I'm quite sure I could clean this up. Now the weather strip runs right through here, so that's not going to be seen, but we still want to make sure it's nice and pretty. So let me go ahead and get these welded up, and then we start sanding and use the burr tool, and we will be just about done with this project. All right, let's get to sanding. All right, I think it looks pretty darn good. Better than when we started, actually, because remember we had those janky spot welds through here. So we are looking really good. I'm really happy the way everything's turning out. And like I said, we'll pretty this up a lot more before we spray the door with epoxy. These doors still need a lot of work, but yeah, it's looking really good. Let's wrap this one up. All right, it is looking so good all the way around. I can't believe it. And I was really putting this off, dreading it. I thought, oh, it's going to be this big, difficult thing. I just don't want to get into that can of worms. But, you guys saw, I mean, really, they put it together so we can take it apart. We just have to figure out where all the spot welds are and kind of just methodically go through it. I mean, really, cutting that brazing was the hardest part of the whole deal, really. Once we got it loose, that thing was flopping around in there, and we were able to put it exactly where it belongs, what they should have done back in '67. But, hey, we got to do what we got to do to make these things look nice, right? So it came out really well. It's identical to the other side, and it looks super, super good in person, guys. I know you guys probably can't tell from there, but it looks really good, and I'm really happy to get this knocked off the list. Before we go, I got a quick favor to ask of you guys. My watch time is kind of low on my videos. You know, everybody's clicking through them kind of fast. If you could let it play through all the way to the end, you know, go make yourself a sandwich. If you doze off or whatever, let it play to the end. Hit that thumbs up. Drop me a comment if you got a second. It really helps with the algorithm and pushing my videos out to new viewers and new subscribers. And we can try to get the views up, and I can get some outreach to some people that are working on a project just like this, just like you guys, and you know, help them along a little bit. That's why I started this channel. So I've been really happy with the progress so far, but I'd like to do a little better. So thanks for joining me here today at Foothill Paint and Fabrication, and we'll see you on the next one.